Hey folks, Dr. Melissa back here at Peachtree Health, and I wanted to take a few minutes today to talk with you about stress, hormones, and your health. Now, if you're watching this video, I'm going to make an assumption that you might be struggling with some pretty intense symptoms. You may be dealing with fatigue, insomnia, irritability, mood swings. Perhaps you've been struggling with blood sugar dysregulation or the inability to lose weight. Well, believe it or not, each and every one of these symptoms is directly impacted by stress and hormones, which ultimately impact your overall health and well-being. So today, my goal is to help you get a better understanding of really what's at play here. And so we're going to look at the endocrine system. We're going to take a brief look at the endocrine system so you can have an understanding of what's happening in your body and how stress and hormones really does in fact all these symptoms that you may be experiencing to a greater or lesser extent. As we move through this and have that understanding, I'm going to let you know how we here at Peachtree Health in our Revolution U Health program really handle and tackle these problems to bring about a corrective result. So, get ready, let's dive into the endocrine system. The endocrine system is one of many systems within our body. This specific system deals with energy production or metabolic function. It deals with growth, tissue repair. It deals with your overall hormone production, sexuality, fertility issues, things of that nature. So when we're thinking about stress and we're thinking about hormones and we're thinking about how they produce symptoms that we don't like and we want to get rid of, we need to understand what all is truly at play. There are multiple glands in the endocrine system. Today we're going to really look at three in particular because this is a short session. We can talk more when you're here in the practice. And the three that we're going to really look at is the pituitary gland, the thyroid gland, and the adrenal glands. Now the pituitary sits in your brain and it's the master gland. It's kind of the master controller of the endocrine system that sends out the signals to regulate what's happening within the other glands of that system. Now when it comes to stress and when it comes to energy, we're going to specifically think of the adrenals and we're going to think of the thyroid. Now the adrenals are what are at play anytime stress strikes your body. We're going to talk about that in a second. Your thyroid is really what's over that key regulator to all of your metabolic function, including and even digestive issues, believe it or not. So we need to look at these because they actually act like a gas and a brake pedal to one another. So when one is overactive, the other tries to slow things down if it perceives the other to be out of balance. And if one is, underactive, the other goes into an excitatory state to try to bring it back and up online. So they're a partnership. And everything in your body works synergistically, or it's designed to. If you're experiencing extreme symptoms, well, that's your body's way of telling you that something is definitely out of balance. So we begin again to look at the endocrine system to understand fatigue, stress, hormones, weight gain, weight loss, all that good stuff. Because as we become stressed, let's think about stress for a moment. It was designed in our human body, okay, we are programmed with this response called fight or flight. Now, back in caveman and cavewoman time, it was very imperative to literally save our lives. But today, that response is triggered literally hundreds to thousands of times a day. And what was once an occasional response that would kind of signal us to fight, stand up to that saber-toothed tiger and take him out, or flight and run for the hills, is now literally, like I said, being constantly triggered. And stress is stress is stress to the primitive brain. It doesn't know the difference between waiting in line and getting really agitated that you've got somewhere to be in 5 minutes and you're going to be late, or that a saber-toothed tiger is coming and your life's in danger. So how do we really adapt in modern day times? Well, there's consequences to this constant firing to our adrenals. As soon as the adrenals fire, what that does is it releases a large amount of cortisol. Now, cortisol is what is needed to dump glucose into the bloodstream. Glucose, gang, is the usable form of energy, the fuel for our muscles, for our cells, if you will, so that we can fight or that we can flight. If we are not using, so if we're not running for the hills, we're just sitting in traffic and we're getting ticked off. If we're not using that glucose, then it gets stored. Stored glucose converts into fat. So now begin to think weight gain, right? The more stressed you are, you're in fat storage mode because you're typically not using it. The other component of what happens in this scenario is the adrenals are the key producers of your sex hormones. So adrenals are your adrenal glands help to produce your testosterone, your progesterone, your estrogen. Now your sex hormones also come from your ovaries and your testes in a smaller amount. The main ones come from your adrenals. So if you're constantly firing your adrenals and they are now moving into adrenal fatigue or exhaustion, they're just not working the way they were designed to, well, what do you imagine happens to hormone regulation? Do you think it's fair to say that they could become dysregulated? Now, typically people think, I've got to go do hormone therapy, and they go right to that end result. But if we just start giving you progesterone or testosterone and we haven't corrected the root cause, then we haven't fixed the problem. And it's just going to be a Band-Aid in short term. Now, the same type of short-term Band-Aid effect is also seen when we think about the thyroid and the adrenals. Your thyroid, again, it's really overall that metabolic function. If you begin to feel fatigued, you're having some weight issues, and you go to the doctor, kind of the first line of defense is they say, hey, let's check the thyroid. And typically you're going to be prescribed, sometimes they don't even do testing, they just prescribe you thyroid medication. Short term, that may make a short-term correction, but before too long, you're back to feeling the exact same way you did. The next thing they want to prescribe you typically is either a higher dosage of the medication, and then they move on to antidepressants because they're saying, hey, you're just depressed. Well, it's not that case at all, typically. There are a small amount of cases that is exactly what you need, because if the adrenals are overactive, and the thyroid is a gas and a brake, and it says, whoa, 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 too much activity, we don't need that. There's no real threat, we're not running, we're not going, we got to slow down our metabolic output. The thyroid begins to act as if it's depressed. It goes into a hypo mode, hence hypothyroid. And up to 80% of the population today is diagnosed with hypothyroid issues. Typically they're misdiagnosed. I think you can begin to see why it becomes so confusing. In our traditional medical model, we're looking at a piece or a part. Here at Peachtree Health, we look at you as a holistic human being. We look and assess all the systems of your body. Even within the endocrine system, it's not just a singular gland. It's multiple glands that can cause dysregulation, that can cause these severe symptoms that you have been suffering with to some extent. So there is so much more to this, and I could really talk and talk and talk, but what I hope for you to understand is what we do here at Peachtree Health is to get to the root cause of your symptoms is that we have to go ahead and do what's called functional diagnostic testing. So yes, we're going to look at blood. We're going to look at your adrenals and your adrenal glands and how they're functioning or not functioning. We're going to look at a full comprehensive hormone panel. We're going to look at blood sugar issues. We're going to do insulin testing, insulin resistance. If we've got too much cortisol and it's calling for glucose, we're not using the glucose, the insulin's coming out, we can create insulin resistance just from being stressed. So we have to first know where you're out of balance. And as we begin to understand what components of your body and your body's systems are out of balance, I review that with you, the team reviews it, we show you your results. And then we take that data and we actually put it into an action plan, your customized curriculum, a step-by-step approach to bringing your health back into balance, to bringing the function of your body back online so that you can experience truly optimized health and well-being. So I hope that begins to give you a beginning understanding of why you've been stressed out, you've been tired, but you can't sleep, you're craving all the wrong foods, even though you're not hungry, you just can't seem to get enough, why you're not losing weight, even for all the exercise that you've gone out there and done and all the changes in your diet, and why you're just so exhausted. These are a few of the key reasons. So come on in, let's really get an understanding of where your imbalances lie. Let us here at Peachtree Health help you get to the root cause so that we can help to get you back on path to living your best life. I'm Dr. Melissa. Thank you for your time. I'll look forward to seeing you in the office here at Peachtree Health.